Well, it's January 28th, the day after the State of the Union address by President Barack Obama. I listened to it on YouTube, the whole thing, C-SPAN version, and Obama's very eloquent. I listened to the whole speech and took notes on it. This war is ending and all the troops are coming home. I think he was referring to the Iraq War. Talked about a lot of things, had standing ovations, but pretty much everything he talked about was about spending more money. He talked about not raising taxes, but talked about spending more money, and like Washington has the power to spend the money, and they, at this point in our history, do have the power to spend more money. I'm going to just two things that President Obama said that I want to bring out. Well, a lot of things. It's pretty funny when he said there's overwhelming scientific evidence on climate change. That had mixed reaction. But he said we face a deficit of trust. And he talked about disagreements over the role of government taking place for the past 200 years. Also about passionate views. Well, there is a deficit of trust in the United States of America. And there are disagreements over the role of government for the last 200 years. Obviously, there's disagreements over reform, the health care bill, a lot of things. And I guess I'll focus it on one thing. We face a deficit of trust. Well, President Obama, the reason there's a deficit of trust is because the deficit spending is out of control. Democrats and Republicans are responsible for this horrifying mess that we're in. And it goes way back. It goes back even before 2000. It goes way back. But this deficit spending is not going to be fixed. And there will continue to be debates over the role of government. My suggestion for everybody is President Obama was talking about the law that every American, including congressmen, every American should read the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Just so that they know it for themselves and that they can think for themselves and determine if their current representative or congressman is following the Constitution or not. And then if everybody voted in accordance with the Constitution, the law of the land, and the Bill of Rights, there might be some consistency. But I'm afraid that most Americans don't know the Constitution. A lot of them don't believe in the Bill of Rights. And we've strayed from those original concepts and principles laid down by our founding fathers. So it's not about personality. It's not even about Republicans or Democrats. It's about who is going to follow this great experiment, which was set up by the founding fathers, called the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. So I think everybody should read that. In the upcoming election, if people are deficit spending, that's not following the Constitution, they should be thrown out of office. Anybody that continues spending money that the United States does not have, no matter how wonderful the idea. It's like the United States wants to help out everybody, or you have to be careful what you say here in the United States. Probably not helping out everybody, because we don't really have freedom of speech here in this country. For those that we don't have freedom of speech. So the United States has people, troops, in 180 countries, and this Haiti thing, I'm sure it's extremely emotional on both sides. I don't even want to get into the whole Haiti thing. If anything, people should take note and prepare to take care of themselves and not depend on government to take care of them. Another thing that comes to mind with that speech, he talked about small towns, about 10% unemployment. And, the economy, just if you really think, shouldn't a small town actually be able to take care of itself? What about if they worked together and somebody had cows for milk if they wanted milk? somebody was growing fruit, somebody was growing this, somebody was growing that, and they just kind of took care of themselves. If you go back, to the Western frontier, people would put a cabin on the land and take care of themselves. And now a whole town can't take care of themselves? Do we really have to depend on Washington? Does every American have to depend on Washington? Or could you grow a garden and take care of yourself? Everybody could answer that question for themselves, but I think when everybody looks to Washington to get money, that money is coming from somewhere or being printed from somewhere. And if it was just being printed out of thin air and not extracted from somebody, that would be okay. But it seems like it's always printed or borrowed, and it comes back to the basic American being overwhelmed with money being taken from them. And so everybody must decide for themselves what is constitutional spending and what is not. The best way to do that is to read or reread the Constitution and reread or read the Bill of Rights. As far as another channel goes, I've started another channel. It's called Restore My Body. It's on YouTube, and so I can talk about anti-aging and health things there. I just get a kick out of people that warn about be careful what you're doing. I just think, have they done a search on YouTube or on the internet for resveratrol? I think that's what you call it. I didn't know about it just until a couple of months ago when I joined this new venture. What's it called? Let's see. It's called resveratrol. And actually, there's a Harvard scientist that has done some studies at resveratrol. It's just an amazing substance. So I'll be talking about anti-aging and some cool stuff over there, and Plan B for me financially, because it's nice to be able to I'm already making way more money than I make on YouTube. But I have a lot of loyal people that have been watching my videos for a long time, so I'll continue to comment on the economy. But with all the notes I have on President Obama's speech, we face a deficit of trust. President Obama, it's because there's massive, 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 massive deficits. To cut spending in 2011 ain't going to fix it. The only way to fix it would be to return the Constitution, and Americans, rightly so, are losing faith in both houses of Congress and probably in the presidency as far as following the Constitution and letting people act and be free and act for themselves. Washington is not the solution. Haven't fixed it yet, and I don't have a lot of faith that they will fix it. I do have faith in true principles, and that is to be determined by each individual American. What's true and what's not true. This is Man of Truth signing out. Ciao.